Thanks very much, Keith. I certainly am. Jonathan, what a fantastic venue for you to get your first pole position. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. It's nice to do it at home, and what can I say? The Red Bull Honda's working real well, and the Dunlop tyres are working well. Everything's fell into place this weekend, so yeah, it's good.
You're only 18 years old, but it was a very mature ride that you put in yesterday to secure pole. Did you know how little time you had left?
Yeah, well, we were having a lot of problems in the second session, and it was just really go for it then or forget about it. And I was bumping down the table a bit, so I just put in a hot lap at the end, and yeah, I'm lucky to be here.
What help do you get from the other guys? Because you're obviously associated with Honda. Do any of the Honda guys help you in your riding?
Yeah, well, Michael Rutter is good. Is good value. He helps me a lot with race technique and lines and gears and stuff. But the chief technician Chris Pike helps a lot with the data, and everyone else in the crew around me, all the mechanics, is putting in a wonderful job. So just me fitting into it, really.
I don't think Michael will be giving you much help today, but best of luck. Hope you show them how to do it. Let's speak to Glenn Richard, because he did have pole and he lost pole just in those dying minutes. Glenn, you had pole until Jonathan beat you in the last second. Do you think your experience can get you a good start here?
Well, I've been getting the thing good off the line lately, so fingers crossed we can keep doing that. But no, it's just nice to be on the front row. Well done to Jonathan. Great, pole position for him. I think we've got a good race set up, so we'll see how we go.
What's this circuit like to ride?
It's tough. Obviously very tight, very bumpy, so it's hard work. But I'll give it my best and see where we end up.
Okay, best of luck. Now, I think Keith said that he's a man that Glenn Richards is a man that he expects to see on the podium. Leon Haslam, of course, did win last week at Oulton Park, the only man to stop the Honda domination. He's walking away from me at the moment. See if I can grab a quick word. How do you feel in reflecting from that Oulton Park win? How do you feel for this round?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. It's not one of the best circuits for us out the season, but like I say, we're on the front row and practice time's looking really good, so get away with them Hondas, get a clean start, and hopefully we can be on the top at the end of the race.
Why does this circuit not suit your bike so much?
It's just such a tight and twisty circuit. I'm only using 3 gears on the Ducati, so it's a little bit struggling on the turning side, but like I said, the race times have been good, so feeling pretty confident.
Okay, best of luck, Leon. Have a word with Keo. How are you feeling, Keo?
Somewhere pain. Yesterday crashed, but no problem.
Okay, best of luck. See if I can have a quick word with Michael Laverty, because this is his home race as well. Michael, how are you feeling?
A bit nervous, home race, and a lot of expectation on my shoulders, but qualified well, doing some good times in race tyres, so just going to have to make a good start and get stuck in, hopefully be up there with the front boys. Okay, well, best of luck. I think Michael has about 30 or 40 people from Tunbridge with him this weekend, so the pressure is on.
The opening race, the Bennett's Superbike race here at Mondello Park. Beautiful sunshine, the best of the 3 days, through practice, through qualifying, and now race day. The wind is low, the sun is up, and soon will be, the red lights will go out. Jonathan Ray gets a good clean start, the youngster gets off, but who's it going to be? Down to turn 1 versus Hawk Kawasaki. No, it's not, it's Kiilari. Down goes Jonathan Ray. Jonathan Ray is down. Jonathan Ray is down on the first turn. That's a disaster for the youngster after all that build-up in his own mind. The Red Bull rookie is out at turn 1. Looked like he was tripped from behind to me, but we'll have to wait and see if we can see that again. Incredible stuff. Neil McKenzie, take a look at this. He's coming across the track. Who catches him as he comes down into turn 1?
It's Michael Rutter.
Michael Rutter comes across.
They're both fighting for the line. They're going into turn 1. Really unfortunate, and a real unusual incident so early going into the corner.
I think it was Michael Rutter that just came across, and I think it might have been hooking on the front brake and took Jonathan Ray out when he hooked his front brake lever. Meanwhile, Keogh out front. Keogh has a lead from Richards, from Rutter. Haslam is 4th. Gary Mason is in 5th place. 6th is Laverty. Michael Laverty, that is. Carl Harris in 7th place. He's up a place or 2. Emmett in 8th. Lavia in 9th. And Hayden in 10th. Not a bad start for James Hayden, considering where he was on the grid.
James Hayden is going to get the Rizla Suzuki off the line, and that is his last get out of jail free car this weekend. He needed to make a good start, so that is a reasonable start from 15th position.
2 places back from the embattled Scott Smart, of course. Scott Smart having a right old struggle again here at Oulton Park. Oulton Park, we'll go there in a minute. Mondello Park. Straighten me out, will you, Neil?
Glenn Richards, look at Glenn Richards. He is so determined to get that Kawasaki on top of the rostrum. Really strong this year. He looks brilliant on the bike. He's at one with that bike. It feels like it is his bike. He can push it hard. He can get away with things. But he's got a Honda in front of them with a Japanese rider on it, and that means trouble.
Just come through Reynolds' corner. We're talking a little more about that later. Look at his rear wheel up in the air. Kianari is spectacular. By contrast, Glenn Richards is absolutely smooth and precise, and he made up a yard or two just by being smooth and precise at that part of the track.
Number 75, Glenn Richards, is a rider that doesn't mind backing it into the corner, and you can see there that he did keep it in line in the last minute, the last second, breaking into turn 1. He was a little bit sideways, but it helped him turn through the corner and grab some time back on number 6, Kianari.
Still Kianari, Richards, Haslam on bike 91 off third place. Of course, the Airwaves Ducati, we haven't said much about him. I reckon it's a fantastic achievement that Colin Wright and the team have actually managed to get that Ducati to work here. They have, of course, resurfaced a large amount of this Mondello track, which has ironed out some of the bumps, but it is so tight and twisty. Really, really slow speed corners. They look fast, of course, on our monitor.
Glenn Richards turning that Kawasaki really tight, that ZX10 turning tight on the Dunlops. Kianari, of course, on the Michelins. But Leon Haslam, first time here on a Superbike. He didn't come last year. He came 2 years ago on the 748 Ducati.
Let's talk about the way that Glenn Richards is turning that motorcycle at the moment. Of course, he is on Dunlops. I've been told they've got a new constructed tyre that he's running here at Mondello, and it's working for him.
It certainly is. There are a number of riders on the same Dunlops. Glenn Richards is one, Sean Emmett, Scott Smart and Carl Harris. These guys get good Dunlops, and of course the two Airwaves Ducatis guys are on the good Dunlops as well. But everything working really well for Glenn Richards here. It really is a front end circuit. We saw last year how well the ZX10 Kawasaki worked here with Scott Smart on board. He was first and he was third. Glenn Richards is doing the same this year.
This corner is, of course, Dunlop corner. I renamed it last year John Reynolds corner because unfortunately he was passed by Scott Smart up the inside when he fell asleep going down in that corner, I think, at that particular time. John?
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Yeah, it was one of those things. I had 1.4 seconds on the last lap of the board I was shown by my crew, and basically I made a mistake and knocked a tenth of a second off each corner. The trouble was, I forgot that there's 14 corners on the track, which means 1.4 seconds. And yes, you're right, I got beaten on the last lap. I did offer to hand in my resignation at the time to Paul Denning, but he declined, thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully for him as well, because you ended up with a number 1 plate, which is what you're all aiming at. Now then, Kianari under a tremendous amount of pressure from the magnificent Glenn Richards, who grows in stature every qualifying lap, every practice lap and every race lap.
Just looking beyond these top 4, Gary Mason having a brilliant ride there on the Stobart Honda in 5th position, and Sean Emmett on the Virgin R1 Yamaha in 6th.
And worth mentioning as well, 26, the first of the privateers is Chris Martin on the Car Masters Suzuki. So Chris Martin, the best of the privateers by far, in front of John McGuinness, John Kirkham and Steve Plater at the moment on the works bike. So not a bad ride from Chris Martin here.
Just proves the importance of a good start here. You really need to get through the first few corners at the front of the pack, and then you're away. You can see the other guys, real strong qualifiers a bit further down. Livia's down in 8th, Scott Smart now, he's down in 13th.
Just looking at the time, that's just been 1:40.731 is the lap record, and we have a new lap record from Glenn Richards, 1:40.592, and that is only at the end of lap 2. That's an incredible time this early on.
That is no surprise. Qualifying has been over a second faster than last year. You said earlier that the track had been resurfaced in some sections. That has improved things, but the pace of the championship this year is unbelievable at the front. Scott Smart in qualifying, he thought he knew he had done a fantastic lap, and he had actually gone faster than he did last year. Last year he was on the front row, this year he was on the 3rd row at the same time.
Scott Smart currently in 12th place on the 88 bike, Tommy Hill on the 8 bike behind him in 13th, and then Jeremy McWilliams on the 99 bike in 14th place at the moment. Only 2 points he will score for that position, so his woes continue, especially when he sees the number 3 bike of Gary Mason, his teammate, up in 8th place.
Michael Rutter doing a good job there. He's hanging on in 4th behind Leon Haslam, but of course he can't afford to let this guy get away, his teammate.
I think that is a real feature of Michael Rutter. I think his maturity nowadays, he lets that motorcycle, the track and the tyres all come to him. He slowly builds up through the entire race, and I think he'll be in good shape towards the end of this race.
I think you're dead right. Michael is a thinking rider. He knows these two are going at it hammer and tongs at the front. He knows Keogh wants to break Glenn Richards, but he knows he also might make a mistake. Glenn Richards is trying hard to be bolted onto the back of Keogh, so Michael Rutter's just sitting there. He's not too far away yet. He has to get past Leon Haslam, of course, and it's difficult to pass around here.
I was actually talking to Les, Michael Rutter's chief mechanic, and he was basically saying the worst case scenario would be that Keogh gets away and starts clearing off. So I think it's pretty conscious that he wants to keep Keogh in touch, that's for sure, and he will start pushing on later.
Les Pearson, of course, been there for a while now, been there and done it, used to say about Les, so what he's forgotten is good enough for most people. We're at Dunlop. Still, Glenn Richards, he's very, very quick into there, out towards, there's a big dip at the end of that curve, they can fall right in the dirt, and the stones fly up as this race meeting goes on. Just runs out of curve. Look at Glenn Richards, absolutely bouncing all over the place.
Bit run out of shape there, but he pulled him back. Keogh was keeping it smooth, but Glenn Richards a little bit out of shape, trying harder on the brakes. But
I think Glenn Richards down into Honda, that's the name of that corner, is particularly good. For some reason, the Kawasaki really works. He can leave it a yard or two later on the brakes and still turn the thing. The Kawasaki looks to me like he's able to put it wherever he wants to on the track. It turns tight, and he can still lay rubber and and doesn't lose any time. It's fantastic the way they got that bike set up.
It's certainly working well. There's two parts to this track. There's a really narrow part, which is the first third, and then it opens up into a nicer, wider, normal racetrack, and the Kawasaki seems to work really well through the tight, twisty parts.
We're looking at Ryoichi Kiyanari back after that injury at Mallory Park, and he's looking pretty good. Missing out on Mallory, of course, and Alton Park after that, but now Keogh is back. He looked quick in warm-up this morning, and his times are absolutely consistently good. But Glenn Richards, well, can't rule him out for a race win if he can keep this kind of performance up on the ZX10. That bike works so well on some parts. Interesting again, it seems to be a bit of a feature of Superbikes this year. Some bikes work really good on one part of the track. Some bikes work really good on some parts of the track, and others work better on other parts of the track, and it really makes it a difficult situation that you've got to weigh up throughout the course of the race.
Glenn is certainly good on the brakes, and that's where he's pulling back Keogh, but as you said, Keogh's bike works really good over the bumps. He's getting fantastic grip on these Michelins, and he's pulling away. At this section of the track, he's actually pulled a bit of a gap of Glenn. Interesting, a bit further down, we can't see on TV, but there's a brilliant battle going on with Lavia, Emmett and Carl Harris for 5th, 6th and 7th.
I think we've got to talk about the man in third place. Leon Haslam on bike 91. The Ducati wasn't expected to perform on this tight, twisty little track, but certainly that team have got it to work very, very well, and Haslam's doing a great job at the moment in third place.
The man that's putting in fast laps is Gregorio Lavia in 5th place. The last few laps have been high 40s. The last lap was actually 140.7, and that's just 2/10 outside the new lap record.
And in fact, under the old lap record, in fact, it equals it exactly. 40.731 is exactly the lap record that was held by John Reynolds. Thanks, John. You gave me a nod there as I moved my paper over to check who actually held it. I didn't really need to look, did I? Let's do a quick 10 check. Kiyanari, Richards, Haslam, they're your top three. Rutter still in 4th place, but Lavia is putting in fast lap after fast lap. Emmett is in 6th place. 7th is Harris. Laverty is in 9th place. 9th place is Gary Mason. 10th place, James Hayden. There is Laverty and Carl Harris. I'll tell you what, Michael Laverty's having a great ride here. Now he's got a lot of style as well.
He is, lovely tiny rider, come for the smaller classes, but it looks good, and if you can get that bike working, then there's no reason why Michael Laverty can't be at the front. Carl Harris there just in front of them. I was speaking to Carl on the first day after practice, and his teammate, although he runs in different colours, is actually Jonathan Ray. And he said, it's like a knife being stuck in my heart, Jonathan Ray being fast to me. There's no way with his experience that he should be able to go quicker, and he really was confused. After qualifying, when Jonathan Ray was in pole position, Carl said, I feel like my heart's been ripped out. But he's very honest and laughing at the same time, and he said, I just hope that I can sort things out in the races.
He doesn't take it seriously then?
He doesn't take it seriously, but he's pleased for Jonathan Ray, but at the same time he just couldn't get his head around how quick he was.
I'll tell you what, we better make sure he's only got very, well no, I won't go there, but...
There's a yellow flag out, I don't know who that is.
Oh, Kawasaki!
No. Glenn and Leon.
And Leon as well. Wow, Glenn Richards off the track, Leon Haslam off the track. What a disaster for Glenn Richards. Well, you talk about a knife through the heart, that's going to be worse. Lap 7 of 18, Glenn Richards, having had a superb qualifying, a superb start to today's race, he now leads 2 Hondas, both HM Plant Hondas, 1st and 2nd, Rutter in 2nd place, that man there, number 6, Ryoichi Kiyanari in 1st place. Incredible stuff.
What you're saying earlier, that Glenn was very quick around that part of the circuit and he knew he was making time upon Kiyanari. He was probably just digging a bit deeper than he should have been. It's the rule of thumb is if you're quick at a certain part of the track, don't try and go quicker because the chances are that you're going as quick as you possibly can anyway.
We'll take your word for that, for sure. Glenn Richards, I think, was glad to take any advantage he could find one over Kianari, because this kid seems to be able to walk on water. The 22-year-old Japanese really is. When you think the clout he had on the head back at Mallory Park, enforced out of Oulton Park the last round, and he's straight back now. You talked earlier on about a knife through the heart of Carl Harris, watching Jonathan Ray qualify quickest, but what must this be like to Michael Rutter? Michael Rutter being a slightly older sage compared with Harris perhaps, but you know, it's not going to do him any good to see that psychologically, so far, he only seems to be able to win a race when Keogh's not here.
Well, Kianari, it wasn't good for us or HM Plant Honda or for Keogh getting hurt at Mallory Park, but actually give us a bit of a break in the championship, let a few of the other guys have a bit of a run up at the front. But Keogh's back to his winning ways. He won the opening 4 races this season, and he was looking like doing the same at Mallory Park, but he's back to full form here at Mondello Park.
So Ryoichi Kianari on bike number 6, the HM Plant Honda leads this race from his teammate Michael Rutter on bike number 2. Up to 3rd place has gone Gregorio Lavia in front of Sean Emmett. That's 36 and 5. Carl Harris is 5th. Michael Laverty is 6th. Gary Mason is 7th. James Hayden is 8th. Scott Smart is 9th. And Jeremy McWilliams is 10th. That's how it rounds out the top 10 at the moment.
Ryoichi Kianari just gets the very best out of that bike. You can see he's on the limit everywhere, but he's using every inch of the tyre and every little bit of grip of the tyre. He's not sliding, he's picking it up whenever he has a loss of traction, everything just working as one.
He is a phenomenon, there's no doubt about that. This is a world-class event, of course. British Superbikes, most of these guys can win at World Superbike level. But you've got to say, Kianari at the moment just is head and shoulders above everyone else. It seems when he's on a motorcycle, provided he stays on it, he is race-winning material. And at the moment, he's putting in consistently 1 minute 40.7 every single lap. Just 1 minute 40.7, 1 minute 40.7 every time out there. Rutter is equal in his time, maybe just a little bit quicker, but he's 3.5 seconds adrift. And just doesn't look like he's going to be able to make any inroads into that.
This is what Keogh did in the opening 4 races. He got away, he dug in the early laps, and then he just controlled the race from the front.
Glenn Richards has the fastest lap and the new lap record, but he is out. What can Lavia do? He's 3.6 seconds behind Rutter in 2nd place. So Lavia is in 3rd place behind Rutter's 2nd place. 3.6 seconds last time round. Keep an eye on that just to see if that can change. 3.9 seconds now, the gap between Kianari, the race leader, and Michael Rutter in 2nd place. There is Michael Laverty, bike 33, in 6th place. Got a right old battle going on he has at the moment. Displaced Gary Mason on bike number 3. His teammate, Gary Mason, has slipped behind Michael Laverty, so Michael Laverty on the Eddie Stobbart Honda making good progress. There is the HondaRacing.co.uk bike of Carl Harris, number 9.
Keeping it smooth. Carl smoothed out his riding style a lot. I think between himself smoothing his riding style out and Wayne Lamb and the white power suspension people getting things working really well on that CBR 1000 Fireblade Honda.
I'll tell you what, this is a result for the Stobbart Hondas at the moment. They're slowly but surely getting those bikes to work right. It's good to see, because Paul Bird and his team, well, they certainly put in plenty of effort, that's for sure.
They're not off the pace now, are they?
Let's take a look at this. This is what happened with Haslam, and I think his eye line might have been taken by Glenn Richards. Glenn Richards, I think, had already gone.
I think that is a separate move. That wasn't the thing we saw earlier.
Different corner.
Well, there you go. I was going to say, I didn't see Glenn Richards anywhere in the equation.
Poor old Glenn Richards. I know many friends are sitting at Three Horseshoe Pub in Leicestershire. Mickey G and his wife there sitting watching, and I'm sure getting excited at the beginning of that race, but there's always another race. Glenn will be back.
Stoke Golding, is that the Three Horseshoes in Stoke Golding?
Steeped in racing history. I'm sure there'll be a picture of you in there, Keith, somewhere.
Yeah, on the toilet floor.
Carl Harris is making ground, though. You remember last year in the Supersport race, Carl Harris, he actually had a ride-through pit lane penalty, came back out and still finished on the rostrum, so he knows his way around Mondello Park.
Sean Emmett's about to be harassed, that's for sure. It doesn't fit Harris in.
It's still not going to be a bad result for Carl if he can pull this one back and finish 4th.
A little bit wide onto that turn, that's for sure. Sean Emmett looking very, very leisurely out on the Virgin Mobile, the Yamaha at the moment. But Carl Harris is a menace, and he's right there with him. Still Kianari and Rutter. 4.8 seconds was the lead Kianari had over his teammate on the last lap. 3.1 seconds further back, so making some inroads was Lavia. He knocked half a second off Rutter in that third place. So watch out for Gregorio Lavia on bike 36 because he is closing on Rutter. Meanwhile, we look at the battle for fourth place. Lap 10 of 18. Oh, and again, just finding it just a little bit. He's just trying to pull it down on the apex of the corner, Cole. He might maybe want to make a few changes in the interim period. He can't seem to keep that thing online.
He's obviously struggled a bit with setup, getting it turned. Looks like he's got good traction, but the rear end of that bike moving around a lot more than the Virgin R1 Yamaha's. Sean Emmett's just in front.
Leon Haslam has retired to the pits now. It's official. That incident that the boys picked up a little bit earlier on here, there was a separate incident altogether. My mistake, and he is now, courtesy of his lowly position, has pulled into pit lane. He's out.
See Carl Harris having a nice wide line into the last turn there to swoop across, try and square the corner off and help him get a little bit close to Sean Emmett on the start-finish straight, and he's closer.
Tell you what, Gregorio Lavia, if he can close in, it's down to 2.7 seconds now from Rutter. So Gregorio Lavia has closed in even more on Michael Rutter. We're going to have to keep an eye on that in a while. It's through. Not quite. Harris had a good old look at that, didn't he? But that would have woken Sean Emmett up. And again, Harris purposely taking a much wider line on the entry to that corner to try and get the power on up and over the little hill there to be with Emmett through this set of corners.
He's a smart rider, Carl. He just knows naturally what he needs to do to take time out of someone, and then he'll just go in for the kill and make that pass when he is close enough. Interesting, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hondas in the top 7.
Gregorio Lavia in third place on bike 36, closing in on Michael Rutter in second place. Now, what I was about to get to before Carl Harris woke me up here in the commentary position was if Gregorio Lavia can pass Michael Rutter, he's on for closing the gap between series leader Michael Rutter. Of course, Rutter has a big lead at the head of the series. Keogh's playing catch-up after his injury, but Gregorio Lavia is a Ducati in the mix of Hondas.
He certainly is. Glenn Richards, unfortunately for him, he was third in the championship and looking good, not that far behind Lavia, but he's going to have to wait to race 2 to do anything about that.
Just a quick name check for the MSS Discovery boys. No Julian Da Costa here. Nick Morgan is at home with the kids, Max and Naomi, watching what's going on. Good afternoon to you, Nicholas. I hope you're awake. And also Clark, I believe, is sitting there keeping you honest as well. So no MSS Discovery Kawasaki out there this week, but we've got Perry Reaper to look forward to in the British Supersports race coming up. Still it is. Number 5, Virgin Mobile Yamaha of Sean Emmett battling with number 9, Carl Harris on the HondaRacing.co.uk bike. Behind them is the battle of 33, Michael Laverty on the Eddie Stobbart bike, along with his teammate number 3, Gary Mason.
These guys are closing up. Michael Laverty not really been dropped off there. He's lost a few bikes to Carl Harris, but he's hanging on there, and his teammate Gary Mason not that far behind.
And not far behind them is Hayden and Smart, of course. Hayden on bike number 18, James Hayden battling through from a lowly grid position. So James Hayden, one thing you do know about James Hayden, he'll never give up until, well, I don't know when, until he's about 50.
He's not about to give up, no. James gives it 100% as the Scott on race day, but James Hayden, where he scores is he makes good starts. He's really got a good feeling from the starts in the Rizla Suzuki. Look at Carl backing it in there.
I'm looking at the monitor here. 1.9 seconds now, the gap between Rutter and Lavia. Rutter is losing time every lap to Lavia, and we are only on lap 12 of 18. I make that enough time, but Lavia to get to Rutter, whether he's going to be able to pass him or whether Rutter's got something in the bag. Watch for James Hayden. James Hayden is now heading up behind Gary Mason. There he is, just in your picture. 18 James Hayden behind these two. They're the two Stobbart bikes, and they are in 5th and 6th place, 6th and 7th place with Hayden in 8th place. But Hayden, well, if he's got fast race pace.
That's another good ride for James Hayden. James Hayden, of course, just learning as he goes with the Rizla Suzukis. Lacked a lot of time on the bike. He first saw Alton Park and he did 2 good rides there, finished 4th in the second race. But yeah, you're right, he's catching these guys, and it's not out of the question. If he can find a good passing spot, Sean Emmett's still stronger on the brakes in there, but Carl Harris looking for a way through.
This is the battle for 4th place, and it's going to be pretty soon a 6-way bike battle. So 4th place, Emmett has it on bike number 5. Here comes Harris. Harris up the inside now. He's had enough of that. Harris on the inside, but does he run it wide? Yes, he does. Emmett, ever the opportunist, takes it straight back. One thing's for sure, Carl Harris is a tough character, but one thing is absolutely for sure, so is Sean Emmett.
Carl Harris has had a look there in a few laps. You can see the front end of his bike hopping around on the brakes, and he wasn't quite close enough. He made his move that time, but he's tried to lean on Sean when Sean came underneath him, but Sean still was able to barge his way through.
Chris Martin still the best privateer in the Privateers Cup on bike 26. Chris Martin in 15th place overall, but the quickest guy out there in the Cup race. Marty Nutt second in that at the moment. Ulsterman Marty Nutt is in 18th place overall, but second. Take another look at this. I mean,
Into turn one, Carl has committed himself, decided he's got the front end of the suspension bottomed out there, turns it in, tries to pull it right back in front of Sean, but Sean just lifted him, pushed him out the way.
Yeah, you're never going to like Sean to be intimidated
Sean,
by that.
if there's Mr. Aggressive out there. There goes James underneath Gary Mason. Fantastic pass.
Take that. James Hayden, well, you've got to say that with Rizla Suzuki's upcoming Croft tests, JR's back for a test at Croft and pretty much going to be race fit again, well, as close as you can get to it with a 5 places broken leg, of course, in the mending mix. But the fact of the matter is, what are Rizla Suzuki going to do? Scott Smart is underperforming at the moment. James Hayden is giving it everything he's got because he doesn't have a job if he doesn't make it work at Rizla Suzuki. And John Reynolds, with, like I've already said, a leg broken in 5 places, but pretty much ready to race again. It's going to be difficult to see who's going to have a contract and who's not.
I can explain that. I'm involved in the Rizla Suzuki team, obviously. Scott Smart will be riding at Croft because he rides for the team. JR's coming back, he's gaining fitness, he'll be back to test at Croft. And James Hayden gives us very valuable information. He rides the bike well, he understands the bike well, and it makes sense for him to test his Croft as well. I might take my leathers and have a ride as well. So.
Okay, but you haven't really answered the question. Of course, the question was,
who'll be riding at Croft?
Is he out? Is James Hayden out of a ride when we come to race day at Croft?
Don't comment.
There you go, you see, he didn't answer the question. You might work for Rizla Suzuki, that's why you can't tell the truth.
I don't know the answer to that, no one's told me, but the 3 riders will be testing at Croft. And
you can see John Reynolds here, he's going red in the face while I'm asking you these questions.
Ask John Reynolds.
Well, I haven't got a clue, I've been asking the question for the last 2 weeks.
Well, I think you're pretty
James
safe,
Hayden's
actually.
lining up another pass here on a second Stobart Honda.
Well, yeah, look at Carl Harris was all over Sean Emmett then. They were almost stuck together for that battle. So 4th place battle is Emmett and Harris, and then the 6th place battle behind that is almost as frantic with Lamity and Hayden. Great ride, that is superb.
James Hayden has picked a spot where he can pass. He knows he's strong in the brakes there at the end of the back straight. That's where he passed Gary Mason.
Well, he's making that bike work, there's no doubt about it. This is the best he has been all week, pretty much. Obviously got a real good race set up. And James Hayden is making up ground hand over fist. He's up in the 6th place now. And I tell you what, the 2 in front of him aren't safe at all. Where's Scott Smart? Is in 9th place at the back of that bunch as well now. Whether he can... Yeah, he is. He's right there. Scott Smart's right there as well. What am I saying? Well, Scott Smart is on a mission too.
He was always a second behind James Hayden and was being dragged along, but you can see he's caught up with the Stobart Hondas as well.
Well, maybe the Suzukis are working real well as this race goes into its latter stages. We are on lap 15 of 18 still. Ryoichi Kiyanari on the HM Plant Honda leads by 7.2 seconds. Well, he's in a different race, isn't he? Michael Rudder is still in 2nd place by 1.5 seconds from Gregorio Lavia. At one point, I think Lavia had made a mistake because he really dropped a lot of time on Rudder, but he's now closing it back up again. But with only, 2.5 laps left to go, got to say that I think Gregorio's left it a little bit too late to make a charge for 2nd place, but he'll be fairly happy on a track he's never seen before and that the Ducatis weren't expected to perform on. The Airways Ducati there in 3rd place. A podium here would be, well, pretty remarkable. There's a lot of good guys behind him, let's put it that way.
I've got to say, out of these 3 bikes, the Virgin R1 Yamaha, Carl Harris's Honda and James Hayden's Rizla Suzuki, and this is an unbiased opinion, James's bike looks the best, the most stable and getting the most grip and the best on the brakes.
I'll tell you what, if you met these 3 in a dark alley, once you got your Rizla Suzuki advert out of the way, if you met these 3 in a dark alley,
yeah,
you wouldn't want to fight with any of them, would you?
I wouldn't want to outbreak any one of them in the last lap.
They're definitely thugs.
Yeah, and they're about to mug each other.
Sean Emmett then on bike number 5, the Virgin Mobile Yamaha leads. Rob Mack must be losing hair at this moment in time. Behind him, the number 9 bike, Carl Harris, HondaRacing.co.uk machine. Separate entry to the rest of the Hondas out there at the moment. And then it is the Rizla Suzuki of the fantastic James Hayden. As through goes Carl Harris. And Dunlop, that one lost in grip. And I think he's managed to balk Emmett in the middle of the turn anyway. But certainly losing grip and spinning it out when you needed the power down normally would have meant someone to put a pass. And Hayden comes through. Hayden comes through a Honda. Hayden goes underneath Sean Emmett. Emmett goes in 2 corners from 4th place to 6th. I had to look at my monitor just to remind myself. This is like a race-leading battle.
Well, Carl Harris was spent a lot of laps trying to get past Sean Emmett. Got to argue that Carl's maybe faster over a lap, but unfortunately James Hayden's gone with him, so we'll have to see who is the quickest out of these two guys.
I'd like to hear that phone from Robert Wicks, the Rizla Suzuki team manager, to Paul Denning, the Rizla Suzuki team owner, regarding what they're going to do about riders when we get to Gros.
Because past Mason.
You can't drop James Hayden when he's riding as well as this, but then again you can't produce another 2 motorcycles out of thin air to run 3 riders instead of 2. Airways Ducati had exactly this conundrum right at the beginning of the year, and they fired James Hayden and left Gregorio Lavia in there. What an enthralling battle there is on the racetrack at the moment, and politically behind the scenes. You're lucky, John Reynolds, you've got the #1 plate. You ain't going to make a comment, are you?
Do you want to add anything? John, are you still sponsored by the Think Bike campaign?
Yeah, that's right, Neil. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, Think Bike sponsored the full series last year. They're still part sponsors this year, and very proud to be part of it. Yeah, the Think campaign is a fantastic thing to do with bike safety, and I'm a big believer in that.
Charles, just quickly changing the subject there.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Well, we'll change it again in a moment too, because this one includes you, Neil. But first of all, I want to just go through this. Chianari, 8.3 seconds his lead over Michael Rutter. Michael Rutter's second place is down to half a second. Michael Rutter is under a lot of pressure now. It's down to half a second as we're on lap 17 of the 18. There is Lavia. Lavia is chasing Rutter. There is Rutter on bike number 2. The HM Plant Honda man has 2 laps to hold on to second place as Gregorio Lavia, the Spaniard, the brilliant Spaniard, here in the British Superbike Championship on the Airwaves Ducati, closes in on Rutter. What a couple of battles we've got here. What we actually need is another set of cameras as well, with a split screen to try and keep everything. Our director is going to be doing his brains trying to make sure he gets every single piece on the screen for us here. So, Chianari and Rutter, 8 seconds between them. Lavia, though, has closed right in on Rutter. Still the Harris, Hayden, Lavity, Smart and Emmett battle. Smart has gone in front of Emmett now for 7th place, so Smarty has moved up to 7th place also, and we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Mason has dropped back to 9th place. McWilliams is in 10th place. Best of the privateers still Chris Martin. Martin Nutt is in 2nd place in the Privateers Cup. Well, can he do it? Does he do it? Where's he going to do it, Neil?
I think he was on course to do it, but he seemed to lose time over about 3 laps ago. He had a slow lap there. Michael Rutter will have seen his gap tumbling on his pit board, so the pressure is on Michael. It's very difficult to pass around here, and he's not quite close enough to pull a pass on him at the moment, but he does have a lap left.
So coming down to the last corner on the track, it's Dunlop corner. Somewhat appropriately, there's a Dunlop shot motorcycle chasing a Michelin shot motorcycle as they shoot down onto the start and finish straight. Already starting the final lap has been Chianari. He's gone past our commentary position, as have these two now. Rutter under pressure from Lavia. Just don't think he's quite got the pace if Rutter's consistent all the way around here. Lavia might just have to settle for that 3rd place, but then again, it might be a Smart versus Reynolds on the last bend. Who knows?
Anything can happen. JR thought he had it in the bag last year, and as he said, he had a bit of a sleep in the last lap, and Scott Smart caught him.
I think that was a case of that he had such a lead that he gave him the opportunity for a bit of a sleep, whereas this case, I think Rutter has had his board waved at him to tell him that Lavia has been closing every single lap, and certainly Rutter won't be a man that hasn't looked over his shoulder at least once on this lap to see where Lavia is, and Lavia is still closing, John.
Yeah, Lavia took a 10th out of him, but I mean that's not going to do it. He needs to be closer than this at the moment. He probably is just lining himself up for that last corner. But, you know, one thing's for sure, what he won't want to do is take them both out. So if he's going to make a move, he'll make it stick.
2 very safe riders, and unlikely that one would attempt punting the other one off. Just a little bit further back there, James Hayden's a lot closer to Carl Harris, 0.2 of a second behind him on this last lap.
Yeah, it's difficult to see what we should be watching really, but this is the championship we're looking at here. We've got the leader of the championship in Michael Rutter on bike number 2, being chased by the man in 2nd place in the championship. That's Gregorio Lavia. Ryoichi Chianari though, whoa, gets the rear end up. Do we come to the last corner now? This is your race leader, Ryoichi Chianari on the HM Plant Honda. There's going to be a big wheelie over the line. Superb stuff, his 5th win of the year. Absolutely incredible. Now we see, yes, Michael Rutter makes it a 1-2 for HM Plant Honda. Gregorio Lavia just about manages to get 3rd place. Well, confirmed 3rd place. Meanwhile, it's going to be Carl Harris who takes 4th place on bike number 9 from James Hayden.
No, that's Scott Smart.
It is. Is it Scott Smart?
James Hayden's, I think, at a bit of a moment. He's at the back of this bunch.
Oh, look at this. Not happy at all. And there it is, confirmation by 7.7 seconds in the end. Well, he slowed up a little bit just to line up a big wheelie at the end. Michael Rutter hung on for second place. But he's got to wonder what he's got to do with his teammate, that's for sure, because Keogh looks so quick. Lavia almost catching Rutter, Rutter just having control there. Carl Harris fought his way through to fourth place. Another fine ride from that young man. Scott Smart, likewise for Scott Smart, almost ghosting his way through to fifth place, of course. Michael Laverty, the best of the Stobart Hondas, in sixth. Sean Emmett slipping to seventh in the end. Gary Mason, the other Stobart Honda there. Jeremy McWilliams, the third Stobart Honda, in ninth place. James Hayden eventually finishing in 10th after apparently running off the track and onto the grass. More about that in a moment or two. Kieran Clark, John Kirkham, Ben Wilson, Steve Plater and Dean Thomas round out the top 15 point scorers. 16th place overall, but the fastest privateer runner